to get my back blown out in peace. You think I got time to talk about a divorce that's a year old?
The courtroom was silent, but the tension was deafening. Every eye was fixed on Teyana Taylor, who stood before the judge with a poise that seemed, from a distance, unshakable. Yet, for anyone watching closely, the subtle signs of her inner turmoil were unmistakable. The slightly too quick rise and fall of her chest, the nervous fidget of her hands she struggled to still, the forced composure of a woman holding her world together by a thread. This was not a concert stage where she commanded thousands with her choreography. It wasn't a film set where she could slip into a character. It wasn't the glamorous glow of a red carpet where she effortlessly turned heads. This was a battlefield of an entirely different kind, a sterile, intimidating courtroom where every spoken word carried immense weight and every ruling could irrevocably alter the trajectory of her children's lives. For weeks, whispers had swirled around this custody hearing, but few outside the inner legal circles anticipated the kind of shocking, procedural ruling that would leave even the most seasoned court reporters gasping in disbelief. Many fans had assumed it was merely another routine hearing, a necessary, if unpleasant, chapter in the complex logistics of co-parenting after a high-profile separation. But what transpired in that quiet, tense room sent seismic shockwaves through social media and the entertainment industry, leaving everyone to ask the same urgent question: what does this mean for Teyana, for her children, and for her future? To truly grasp the crushing weight of this moment, one must rewind the tape. Teyana Taylor has always been known for her fire and relentless work ethic. From her early days as a teenage prodigy signed to Pharrell's label, to choreographing iconic music videos for legends, to stealing the spotlight in Kanye West's visually stunning Fade video, she built her name on a foundation of pure grit and undeniable raw talent. But for all her soaring professional highs, her personal life became a narrative just as public. Her marriage to NBA star Iman Shumpert appeared, from the outside, to be a picture of perfection. They were the couple everyone rooted for, a dazzling fusion of music and basketball, beauty and swagger, a love story that felt unbreakable. But behind the curated Instagram posts and the mutual praise in interviews, the foundation was quietly unraveling in ways their fans could never fully see. When their separation finally became public knowledge, the public conversation immediately pivoted to the subject of custody. Their two young daughters, innocent and unaware, were now caught in the middle of a storm they had no part in creating. For Teyana, these girls were her entire world. She wasn't just a mother who provided financially. She was profoundly hands-on and deeply present. The kind of mom who poured love and intention into every detail of their lives, from school projects to bedtime rituals. That is precisely why, when initial whispers suggested the custody battle might turn contentious, fans were stunned. To them, Teyana was the very definition of a devoted, fiercely loving parent. But courtrooms do not operate on public perception or fan sentiment. They operate on evidence, legal precedent, and often, a cold, hard scrutiny that can leave emotional scars lasting a lifetime. On the morning of the hearing, a small crowd had already gathered outside the courthouse. Cameras flashed, microphones were thrust forward, and fans on social media waited for updates with the fervor of a live sporting event. Inside, however, the atmosphere was starkly different, chilly, formal, and thick with unspoken anxiety. You could feel the weight of every argument and every fear hanging heavily in the air. Teyana walked in, dressed in a sober black outfit, her face a mask of calm that her stormy eyes betrayed. Iman arrived separately, sitting with his legal team, his expression inscrutable but clearly braced for a significant outcome. The judge wasted no time with pleasantries. This was not going to be a hearing mired in minor procedural details. From the very start, the judge's tone was grave and businesslike, signaling the seriousness with which the court was approaching the matter. Both legal teams presented their arguments. Teyana's lawyers emphasized her stability, her unwavering commitment to her children, and her successful career as proof of her ability to provide a strong, nurturing, and secure home. Iman's side focused on raising concerns, questioning the logistics of her demanding schedule, her priorities, and whether the relentless pressures of fame and constant travel created an environment where a consistent family life was difficult to maintain. The back and forth was sharp yet professional, a tactical chess match played with legal jargon. Still, an unsettling feeling built in the room. a sense that the proceedings were hurtling toward a conclusion no one had seen coming. Then, it happened. After listening intently to both sides, the judge leaned forward, cleared their throat, and delivered the bombshell. The court would be ordering a full, comprehensive parenting investigation. The words landed like a physical blow in the silent room. For a moment, there was absolute stillness. No one moved. Even the frantic clicking of reporters' keyboards ceased. Time itself seemed to suspend for a split second. And then, the silence broke into a wave of quiet gasps and stunned glances. Lawyers leaned in to whisper urgently to their clients. Teyana's eyes widened in sheer disbelief for a fleeting moment before she managed to school her features back into a semblance of composure. But the shock was etched plainly on her face. This was not an outcome she had anticipated. Her legal team huddled closer, whispering explanations, but her mind was already racing, tumbling down a rabbit hole of terrifying questions. An investigation into her parenting? What would that truly entail? What would it seek to uncover? Across the room, Emin sat motionless, but a flicker in his eyes was noted by observers. Some interpreted it as relief, others saw a glimmer of satisfaction. Whatever the emotion, it did not go unremarked. The news broke instantly. Reporters scrambled to file their stories. Courtroom sketch artists hurried to capture the precise moment the ruling was delivered, the moment Teyana Taylor's world shifted. By the time the hearing was formally adjourned, social media was ablaze. Full investigation became the trending phrase of the day. Fans erupted in fury, defending Teyana with passionate tweets and posts. "She's one of the best moms out there," one fan declared. Another posted, "This is insane. They're trying to break her down." But not everyone was on her side. Some commenters speculated that perhaps there was more to the story than met the public eye. Maybe the judge had seen legitimate cause for concern. Maybe the unique challenges of fame, with its constant travel and unrelenting scrutiny, presented complications that weren't as easy to balance as her fans believed. For Teyana, however, the public debate was a distant noise compared to the internal tempest she now faced. A formal parenting investigation meant invasive interviews, unannounced home visits, psychological evaluations, and every minute detail of her private life being placed under a bureaucratic microscope. For a woman who had fought so tenaciously to protect her children from the glaring spotlight, the thought of strangers dissecting their daily lives, their routines, and their emotional well-being was a profound violation. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about them, her daughters, her heart, her absolute everything. Iman, meanwhile, maintained a cool, collected demeanor in public, but behind closed doors. Sources suggested he viewed the investigation as a strategic opportunity, perhaps not to seize full custody, but to secure greater influence, more control over major decisions, and a larger say in how his daughters were raised. The couple, once celebrated as a dream team, now found themselves entrenched on opposite sides of a legal war, with their children as the ultimate prize. The media, of course, feasted on the development. Headlines screamed about the investigation, often painting a picture of a family in tragic collapse. Some outlets attempted neutrality, but many others leaned heavily into sensationalism. Is Teyana Taylor an unfit mother? And inside the shocking investigation rocking her family, for Teyana, who had spent her entire career building a reputation as a strong, talented, and grounded woman, this was more than a legal battle. It was a very public, very brutal trial of her character and her most sacred role, that of a mother. As the days turned into weeks, the reactions only grew louder. Fellow celebrities began to chime in, some offering public support for Teyana, while others remained cautiously silent, wary of being drawn into the fray. Fans dissected her every Instagram post, searching for hidden meanings. If she looked tired in a photo, they attributed it to the immense stress of the investigation. If she posted a smiling picture, they praised her for putting on a brave face. Her every move was co-opted into the ongoing public narrative. But behind all the noise and speculation, the reality on the ground was far harsher. The investigation was a grueling process, forcing her to open her doors and her life to strangers, to answer deeply uncomfortable questions, and to prove what she felt should have been self-evident, that her children were safe, profoundly loved, and cared for beyond measure. It was an invasive, exhausting, and deeply personal ordeal. And yet, she had no choice but to face it head-on. The irony was surely not lost on her. On stage, She could command the attention of thousands with a single move. On screen, she could move an audience to tears with a raw performance. But here, within the labyrinthine justice system, her voice was just one of many, and every argument she made would be filtered through reams of paperwork, strict procedures, and the opinions of professionals who did not know the depths of her love or the sacrifices she had made. Still, Teyana Taylor is not a woman who knows how to back down from a fight. As the arduous process began, she leaned heavily on her support system, friends who reminded her of her own strength, family members who reinforced her sense of purpose. Even in the darkest moments, when the weight of the investigation felt utterly unbearable, she needed only to look at her daughters to find the reservoir of courage required to keep fighting. What happens next remains shrouded in uncertainty. The judge's ruling opened a door to a multitude of possibilities that no one had initially foreseen. Perhaps the investigation will ultimately clear her completely, vindicating her and silencing every critic. Perhaps it will introduce unforeseen complications, leading to stricter custody arrangements or unexpected legal twists. Either way, one thing is abundantly clear: this battle is far from over. For Teyana Taylor, this is not merely about winning in a court of law. It is about protecting her children, preserving her own peace, and proving to the world, and perhaps most importantly, to herself, that no investigation, no rumor, and no judicial ruling can ever define or diminish the boundless love she holds for her family. But as fans continue to debate and the media continues to speculate, one haunting question lingers in the air. When the dust finally settles, will the truth be the thing that sets her free? Or will this brutal fight ultimately take more from her than anyone could have ever imagined?